Hey, Bulls and Bears, welcome, welcome, welcome. It is Sunday, February 26th, 2023, back with another dose of economic reality. We've got a lot of news to cover as usual. We'll try to pack it into about a 10 or 15-minute video. Usually 15 minutes is the longest I like to go because viewers tend to drop off after that amount of time. But let's go ahead and just make one quick announcement. I got a new camera, so thank you for coming back to this channel. You allow me to get better equipment by coming back to this channel, because when the channel is dying and when views are dropping, I really am not incentivized to invest in the channel, because I think the channel is gonna fade away or no longer be here. So I'm still here. Thank you again for keeping the channel alive. Also got a new microphone on the way, so you're gonna hear much better audio quality going forward, and that's because of you coming here today, keeping this channel alive. Thank you very much. Also, a couple people have asked me, what have I been doing better? I look more revitalized. I look more refreshed. And what I've been doing is doing this juicing here, right? Usually 1 or 2 meals a day. Instead of eating food, I'll actually have this juice, which is packed with nutrients. This is Green and Clean by Organic Life. I have no affiliation with this company here, but I noticed something interesting looking at this bottle. Product of Turkey, right? I pay $4.20 for this, $4.26 at a store called Grocery Outlet. And it's interesting. We have a lot of farming here in America, but we have to bring this in from Turkey. So to get a good organic drink for a good price, I have to buy something that's made in Turkey, right? And I'm not complaining. It's a great product, but why can't we make this here in the U.S.? What does it have? Spinach, kale, cucumber, celery juice, a little bit of lemon juice, ginger, right? So a lot of healthy stuff in here. Why can't we make this in America? What would this be if we made it here in America instead of sending it on a ship thousands of miles overseas from Turkey? This might be, who knows, half price. Why can't we manufacture more here? Why do we have to bring in products from overseas, especially things that we can grow here in the United States, right? So that's just one of many examples of how in the United States we don't produce enough. And now we've got a lot of environmental things happening with the soil and the air and the water, and things are going to get worse. You're going to see farms decimated, environmental problems, financial problems, and it's just going to escalate. And we're going to be more dependent on other countries. And then if we see the price of fuel spike back up, the cost of imports is going to get much more expensive, right? So we're headed into some very, very dangerous times, as I often like to remind people here. All right, but let's get into some other news here today. And let's begin right here. More layoffs. This time it's Twitter announcing more layoffs. Now, in this case, it's just dozens of layoffs, but this comes after the previous announcements, and there's been several announcements of, in many cases, it was thousands of people getting laid off. They're still laying off people. So obviously, things aren't going very well, because it was supposed to be a big turnaround. And if the company was projecting, this massive growth, why are they still laying off more people? Now, some people say this is just continued cost cutting, trimming the fat, getting rid of staff that's not needed. But I always have to ask the question, if the staff was not needed, why were they there to begin with? Were they just hiring people that were not needed? So it doesn't really add up. So we'll have to keep an eye on that and see what happens. There's many people predicting that Twitter won't even be around because it's such a mess over there right now. Next, and we warned you this was going to happen, homebuilder Toll Brothers trims workforce as home builder is cutting costs because of the sales decline. So the sales in homes has plunged. We're yet to see that translate into big price declines or crashes in the prices. But if mortgage rates stay where they're at or go higher, this will be followed by much further price declines. Right. So let's hope rates stay high, and that way people like us that have been waiting for this, that have cash, ready to go, ready to buy a more affordable property, will be ready to go. And I've said here many times, I'm looking to move up to a bigger home. The home I have here now is much too small, with myself right now recording from my garage because all of my bedrooms are taken up. Also, I don't really have much of a yard. I don't have much room to grow stuff. And we just talked earlier in this video about how more people need to grow their own stuff because we're having to import green organic drinks. We have to import these from Turkey and other countries around the world when we're perfectly capable of growing our own stuff. But a lot of us have been, I don't want to say pushed, because I could have bought a home in Tennessee with a lot more land versus California. But a lot of people have been priced out of getting a larger property where they can actually do a little farming, maybe grow their own food, things like that. And even though the price declines haven't been major yet, remember, as housing goes, the economy goes, right? So this slowdown in sales is going to translate into many more layoffs. Not just people working for the home builders, but we have all the people connected with the real estate industry, which is massive. Everything from the furniture store to the finance companies, the loan officers, the underwriters, the inspectors, the appraisers. I mean, it's a massive, massive pool of people that are connected to real estate. Next, we have some lawmakers out there um, proposing to enact legislation that's going to make it more difficult for big money, Wall Street, corporate investors to invest in real estate and to buy up properties to turn around and rent out to people. I think we all know that's a part of the problem with affordability is these big Wall Street / corporate investors. Will this pass? Will these lawmakers enact this? I highly doubt it, because what these big companies will do is they'll just funnel a little bit of money, or they'll give a little money to these lawmakers for them not to pass this. And I think that's why this will not actually go anywhere, but we'll have to see. But that's my opinion on how this whole thing works is the lawmakers get paid off, and that way the big billionaires can maintain more control. Also, as the Journal is reporting here, office landlord defaults are escalating as lenders brace for more distress. Now, remember, this started back in 2020 with so many people working from home because of the health crisis at that time, and it left a lot of offices vacant, and therefore a lot of these landlords started feeling the stress of this. Now, we do have a lot of companies now bringing people back into the office, but also there's a lot of people that don't want to go back to the office. They've become accustomed to the work at home lifestyle. They save money and they save gas by not having to go into the office. Many people bought homes away from the cities that they lived in because the health crisis, again, they didn't know how long the health crisis was going to last. There's actually people that went out and bought a property not knowing how long that health crisis was going to last. And now they can't even go back to the office because they moved so far away. I guess many people thought that the work at home thing would be permanent at their company, but as we reported here, many companies are calling people back into the office, and that's going to be more people that'll have to go out and find a different job closer to where they live at now. And of course, that'll be chalked up as a positive thing. The people that quit or can't go back to the office at their company will then have to find local work in their new area that they moved to. And again, that'll be chalked up as a positive thing for the economy. They're going to say, look at all these new jobs added. Why? Because they won't subtract the job that the people left, but they'll just add on the 1 or 2 part-time jobs that the people took on for their new position. All right, let's talk about some of this credit card debt and the debt tsunami that's overtaking many, many millions of, especially people in America here. The Hill, nearly half of millennials and Gen Xers have more credit card debt than savings. Folks, this is where it starts. I mean, the younger generation's really, really in trouble right now. That's why they can't begin to repay their student loans again. That's why that temporary thing that they passed in 2020 is still in place right now with the student loans, because people cannot afford it. But yet I'll get emails and messages telling me that everything's fine. Nobody's got any problems right now. Well, how do you have more credit card debt than savings? And that's not a problem? I guess that's a sign of strength, as far as some people might call it, because these people have credit. So people going out and running up debt on credit cards, that's a sign of economic strength, because that gets chalked up as consumer spending, and that gets put in there in the category of economic growth, right? So people going broke is economic growth. And I know that sounds silly, but that's actually how it's looked at. It's calculated when people take on debt. It's looked at as economic growth and economic strength. I mean, laugh at it. It sounds silly, but that's economic reality. That's what's put in the category of growth. It continues here. Nearly half of Americans in their prime working years, ages 27 to 58, have credit card debts that exceed the balance in their savings accounts, according to a new survey. I hope some of these people have at least something in their retirement account, but even your retirement account, your 401k, etc., you can't access the money unless you want to pay a big, big penalty to Uncle Sam for getting, I guess what you could say, your money. But if you have to pay a big fee and penalty to access it, access it? Is it really your money? And if these brokerages, or 401k providers were to fail, would there be enough money set aside to pay for the people losing their 401k accounts? We also asked the same question with the banking system, FDIC. They have a fraction of the money put aside compared to how much money is actually in these accounts. And it's basically an insolvent rescue program that many people think that's going to be there for them once the institutions fail. And that's just one of the other reasons why I continue to urge people to at least think about keeping something outside of the system. And it also says in this article, basically the obvious quote: a growing number of Americans are leaning on increasingly expensive credit card debt, unquote. That's Mark Hamrick, senior economic analyst for Bankrate. And yes, he's basically stating the obvious there, but we all knew this was coming. Everybody here on this channel knew this was coming, and we know that this year is going to be likely the end of the rope for millions and millions of people. That's why I think we're going to see, a tsunami of things occur this year. Of course, something else could happen that completely distracts people from the financial Armageddon that's unfolding right now. There could be a war. We're already seeing a war, but the U.S. could be very, very close to, I think, things that many people don't expect, right? Because we're in the crosshairs of all this. All right, another one here for people that say I never have any good news. You're wrong. Here's some good news right here. Walmart and Home Depot are raising their wages. So there's some good news for you. Is it going to be enough to keep up with the cost of living? I doubt it, because the cost of living is going to keep going up because inflation is not really under control right now. It's slowing down, but it's certainly still going higher. But all of a sudden, are a lot more companies going to give enough wage increases to keep up with the rising cost of living? I doubt it. It's good to see that these two companies, these two corporations here, Walmart and Home Depot, are giving raises. But it's not going to be, ultimately, it's not going to be the solution, because we don't produce enough here. The cost of living is too high. Countries want to outsource so they can have cheaper labor, because with a high cost of living, companies are always going to be pushed or encouraged to pay higher wages. And the ones that can outsource will outsource. Of course, Walmart and Home Depot, you have to have people there physically at the locations to help customers. But the companies that can outsource, phone jobs, things like that, manufacturing jobs, and they can just ship the stuff here, just like the farms in Turkey growing all the vegetables for the drink that I drink here. When we're perfectly capable of growing it here, but why don't we grow it here? Ask yourself that question, and then you'll see what's going on here, folks. All right. Hope everybody liked their support. Thanks for being here, keeping this channel alive. Hit that like button if you'd like to help out. Leave me a comment, and we'll hopefully see you here next time on this channel. Big love. Keep stacking. Bye for now, and peace.